Well, it looks like the ANC is caught in another lie. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the News in 5. I'm your host, Joe Emilio. Thanks for tuning in. So AfriForum has released a new report recently showing some statistics about farm murders and farm attacks. The report shows the low prosecution rates of these crimes, but that's not all it shows. I spoke to Jock Broidrick from AfriForum on this channel. A link to the interview is in the description below. In this interview, we went into a little more detail about the report and some of its revelations. One of which is that it's actually South Africans who are committing these horrible crimes. Have a listen.
So let me start off by just saying how we obtained this data. And we obtained this data through a Public Access to Information Act request to the South African Police Service. So this is their own data. This isn't thumbsucked. It wasn't gathered through media reports. This is from the South African Police Service's own database. Now, what was interesting here is that you often see these farm attack denialists, although those are at least willing to admit that it's happening, always blame farmers for employing illegal immigrants as cheap labor and mistreating them, and then these illegal immigrants rise up and perform farm attacks. But clearly from this data, we now see that that's not the case. Yeah, so arrest accounts, I think, is pretty straightforward. Yeah, the percentage is the percentage of that certain nationality that was involved in the attacks that we looked at in this time frame from 2019 to 2022, and then the sentence count is how many of them were actually sentenced after they were arrested.
This table was with regards to the murders. There's another table, if we scroll down a bit, with regards to, I believe it's the attacks. Yeah, nationality, attack, arrests, and convictions. And this table is also very telling. Do you have anything to comment on this table?
Well, I think the numbers speak for themselves. Once again, we can see that the majority of the people arrested are South African citizens. And then it slowly tapers down to various other nationalities, Zimbabweans being the second largest group who are seen to be involved in these attacks, but they only make up 13%. And then it just tapers down from there on.
And what do you know? Corporate media is mute on this topic. I think I've only found 1 or 2 articles that even slightly talk about this topic. It's appalling that corporate media doesn't give this a little bit more attention, and I really wanted to know what Jock thought about that.
It's politically inconvenient to talk about these matters. And unfortunately, we know that most media houses do have owners, they do have funders, they do have bosses to report to. You can go and look at who owns media houses countrywide, nationwide, internationally, and see what their political affiliations are. And that definitely doesn't have an impact on the functioning of that media house. I used to be an investigative journalist, so I know this firsthand. You might want to pitch a story to an editor, and it's decided that no, because it might upset some people, or it might upset the wrong people. This happens. So the idea that the media is somehow independent and guiding us with information and basing moral decisions on that information is very skewed, unfortunately.
The situation for farmers in South Africa is becoming more and more dire each year, with a government that really ignores the issue.
There are no killings of farmers or white farmers in South Africa.
And another politician that sings about killing them.
Shoot to kill! Hamaza! Kill the poor! The farmer! Kill the poor! The farmer!
The low prosecution rate just shows how little politicians, police, and corporate media care about the farmers of South Africa. I mean, after all, if there was more outrage, maybe the prosecution rate would be a little bit higher. Or maybe if this guy would do his job even just a little bit, maybe, just maybe, some lives would be saved. AfriForum writes the following in the report. While it is expected that convictions will almost always be lower than arrests, the low conviction rate for both murders, which is 32%, and attacks, which is 16%, suggests a serious deficiency within either the SAPS or NPA. Farmers and people living on small holdings like other victims of crime deserve fair and speedy justice. Unfortunately, the findings of this report indicate that there are significant delays and inefficiencies within the criminal justice system, leading to protracted court cases and a lack of closure for victims. The low conviction rates and slow pace of the proceedings exacerbate the insecurity and fear among these communities, underscoring the urgent need for reform. A link to this report is in the description, ladies and gentlemen, and the pinned comment, as well as a link to the full interview that I had with Jock. It's very interesting. I encourage you guys to go watch it. I've said this once before, I'll say it again. I unreservedly and proudly stand with South African farmers and AfriForum. I will continue to bring stories and reports like this to light. We cannot let this violence against farmers continue. I think some of us forget that without the farmers, we won't have food on our tables. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think the ANC and corporate media are downplaying farm attacks and farm murders? If you enjoyed this content, you might enjoy these videos. Leave a like, share this video far and wide, and subscribe to the channel. I've got more content coming your way. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next one. Cheers.